These are guys that, maybe they moved on to another team, or maybe one of their teammates moved on and now their situation looks better. But let's get into it. Nate, who's your first stock up player? Shocker, right off the rip from Nate Christian. What do
Yep.
you got for me?
My number one stock up through free agency is Diontae Johnson. And I've been a huge Diontae Johnson fan now for years, ever since we had the debate of him or James Washington. Mike, actually, I made a tweet thread back in the day during the quarantine how I preferred Diontae over James Washington. It took off. It kind of helped me find my feet here in fantasy land. And Diontae now goes to the Carolina Panthers to be the wide receiver one for the Bryce Young. And the corpse of Adam Thielen put together a wide receiver 25 season last year in that role. And Diontae Johnson is one of the best wide receivers in the entire league at getting open. Amazon has some kind of, they do all that kind of data stuff. They have an open score that they put together for our wide receivers in the NFL. And Diontae Johnson has been top 5 in that every single season. He just gets open. And that is something the Carolina Panthers wide receiver core has really struggled to do last year. And just no one could get open. Bryce Young had the most throwaways of any quarterback. I mean, just no one open. Diontae is going to be open all the time now. I'm really excited about what he can do for this offense, be the wide receiver one for Bryce Young. He's been the wide receiver one for the Steelers for a while now, but that offense has not been humming. And while I don't necessarily expect the Panthers offense to be humming, there really is not much competition there for Diontae. He should continue to be the target hog. He has seen 140 plus targets in each of the years of his career since his rookie season, when he was playing with Duck Hodges and stuff like that. But since then, 140 targets every single year. So he's going to continue that trend. He's going to continue to get those targets. Only 87 this year, sorry, because he only played in 13 games. But this guy gets volume. He's guaranteed volume because he gets open. That's the thing that wide receivers are supposed to do. He's going to do it in Carolina. And I'm willing to pay, a mid-second for him, up to honestly, any second I'd pay for Diontae Johnson. I think you can get him for a mid-second, though. I think you get him for a late second plus. It is ridiculous how cheap he's going that I'm seeing him go for. But I'd be willing to pay anywhere in the second. In one quarterback, I'd pay a late first for Diontae Johnson. Some other wide receivers I would try to move for Diontae Johnson right now: Jameson Williams, Chris Godwin, Terry McLaurin, Mike, who's also wide receiver one in offense. But hey, I like Diontae Johnson and Bryce Young. I like Jahan Dotson over with the Commanders. So I think there's a bit more competition for targets there because there's no one competing with Diontae right now. Jonathan Mingo, come on.
I gotta step in here and just correct you on a few things. Okay. First of all, there's competition. Jonathan Mingo, Adam Thielen, Terrace Marshall, Michael Strachan, Immer Smith, Marset, Cam Sins, and Jalen Camp would like to have a word in the wide receiver room for the Carolina
All
Panthers.
right.
Yes, right away, you are correct. There's not much, although I do think Adam Thielen, good super buy low target right now. If you need somebody at the bottom end of your roster, remember I said to buy him for a fourth last year and people LOL'd at me.
You did. I did, probably.
Also, I don't know where you found your stats from, but as for fantasypros.com, I have Adam Thielen with the wide receiver 17 finish.
Ooh.
Even better than what you had said, which just gives me more reason to believe that I think Diontae Johnson could be very good here. Bryce Young, new head coach, another year in the NFL. I love where your head is at here with Diontae Johnson, Nate. You want to know who my stock up is? Cue the Sesame Street music because Big Bird is coming to town. Atlanta Falcons wide receiver Drake London. Dynasty Rewind startup ADP is the 501. He's wide receiver 20. Hey, you know what? He's finally got a reputable quarterback. Finally. Goodbye, the menagerie of Desmond Ritter and Taylor Heineke. I don't know if they had anybody else throw any passes down there in Atlanta. Falcons fans, you deserve better. You finally got it. And Christian Kirk has supported wide receivers in the past. He's not a flashy guy, but he's really good for fantasy football. Not Christian Kirk, but with Kirk Cousins. Drake London, wide receiver 36 last year. He had 110 targets, 69 catches, 905 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Nate, do you think his targets will be more catchable this year with Kirk Cousins as quarterback?
I think they definitely will be.
I think they will be too. And his new offensive coordinator, Zach Robinson, he's of the Sean McVay coaching tree. So I'm anticipating a much more efficient passing and running game. So wheels up for Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and Bijan Robinson. Might be a stock down for Tyler Algier, though. But look where you drafted him or what you paid to get him at the time. Got what you could out of him. You know what? I'm going to buy Drake London. Nate, Superflex, you're going to pay up a late 25 first and probably a 25 third. Did see a couple trades on Fantasy Calculator. I saw Puka Nacua for Drake London in a second. If you're not a competing team, if you're competing, I might want to hang on to Puka Nacua there. Here's a really good tier down trade right here. Justin Jefferson for Drake London and a 24 first. You think about that one, Nate?
Depends on what that 24 first is.
I wanted to put this one on here because it really makes you pause a second. Justin Jefferson was injured last year. Quarterback situation's not as good. Drake London is not as good as Justin Jefferson, but he's got a better quarterback situation now. That's tough. But I think I'd probably still lean Justin Jefferson there.
It needs to be like 103, 104.
What if it was the 106 and a 25 third?
I mean, so you're talking like Justin Jefferson for Drake London and Rome Odunze at that point or something like that. A way to kind of quantify it. Which if you're in a rebuild and you have Justin Jefferson and nothing else, probably a move you should make to diversify. I would still want something on top of it. Like if I'm moving Justin Jefferson, I know I'm getting two really good values with Drake London and Rome Odunze there. But like, can I get like a second on top of it as well? I mean, I'm giving away one of the best assets in all of fantasy football.
Yeah, it's one of those things too. Don't feel like you need to trade a guy if you're rebuilding. You know what I mean? Just like if you're not getting the deal you want, just look elsewhere. And in one quarterback, you're looking at like a mid 25 first. You're gonna have to bump up a couple spots. I did see a trade to AJ Brown for Drake London at 24 second. I might rather have AJ Brown there overall though.
DeAndre Swift, Mike, currently going off in DR ADP at 901. So the very beginning of the 9th round, the RB22 off the board. I like the landing spot. He's got a good contract too. This is at least 2 years there. A lot of times we see free agent running backs get, 2 or 3 year deals that are really just 1 year and then they can move on. Like that's the Josh Jacobs deal. Like it looks like it's 4 years, but they can move on after 1 year if they want to. DeAndre Swift is there for at least 2 years before they have an out. So with that in mind, I like this. I kind of think of it as an upgrade to the Eagles. And now the Eagles have a very good offensive line. Swift had a career year actually with the Eagles. His first year over 1,000 rushing yards. He handled a career high 239 carries and had 4.5 yards per attempt. So a pretty good season, honestly. But Mike, what really hurt Swift's fantasy value last year was he only had 5 touchdowns and Hurts had 15, 11 of them on a quarterback sneak, 11 quarterback sneak touchdowns. So that really hurt DeAndre Swift's fantasy numbers. I don't expect Caleb Williams to be running the tush push or the brotherly shove.
He doesn't run a ton, Caleb Williams.
Yeah, and they're not going to put their new number 1 overall pick in the middle of a quarterback sneak at the goal line. So DeAndre Swift is going to get goal line touches again. I'm excited about that. I think we're going to see him continue to be used as a receiver. I think Caleb is going to throw a bit more to his receivers than Jalen did. So I think there's a lot going there. And speaking of receiving, he's had 50-plus targets in every single season so far in his career. DeAndre Swift, that is. He's been a top 24 running back in points per game his entire career as well, Mike. I don't know if you knew that. He's actually been pretty productive. I know he's had a lot of ups and downs, but in a points per game basis, DeAndre Swift has been a top 24 running back every single year. So this year, he was RB24 on a points per game basis. Last year, 2022, he was running back 15 points per game. In 2021, he was the running back 8 in points per game. In his rookie year in 2020, he was the running back 15 in points per game per player profiler. So he's been productive when he's on the field. He signed to that long-term contract. We did see him have a full healthy season last year. Like I said, he handled a career high 239 carries. So he was able to stay healthy throughout the career and handle that workload. I like the season that he put together last year. He's only 25 years old, so he's not, next to that cliff just yet. I think the 2 years in Chicago actually will work really well. And then after that, I'd probably be looking to move on, but we'll have a whole new running back landscape by that point. So DeAndre Swift is someone I'm cautiously buying. If I can get him for a 25 first, Mike, I've seen some deals where people have moved 25 first rather than a 24 first straight up for DeAndre Swift. I'm a competitive team. I would love to move a 2025 first. If I'm expecting it to be, the 110, 111, 112 for a guy like DeAndre Swift, help me win a championship this year, be a really productive running back over the next 2 years. If you have DeAndre Swift moving forward as your RB2, in your lineup, I think you'd be really happy.
And now I'm going to tell you about Saquon Barkley. He's a stock up for me. We have to be realistic here. The Eagles' offensive line is far superior than that of the New York Giants' offensive line. The Eagles as a whole are superior to the Giants. And I think Saquon Barkley coming in here, this is a scheme that's going to prioritize his strengths. Think Ezekiel Elliott with the Dallas Cowboys when Kellen Moore was the offensive coordinator there. Ezekiel Elliott extremely productive. And yes, Jalen is going to vulture some touchdowns. I don't think the brotherly shove is going to be as prominent as it was the last couple of years. Jason Kelce did retire.
Yeah.
And look, you pay Jalen Hurts a lot of money. You got to stop doing this all the time. Let's not forget, Miles Sanders had 11 rushing touchdowns in 2022. It's situational, though. If I'm competing, I'm definitely going to hold, or even if I'm middle of a pack team, I think I'm still going to hold because you can get more for him in season. If not, I will gladly get him off my team just because his age, if you're not competing right now, he's not really going to help you in a few years. I think we could do a late first for Saquon Barkley right now. People seem to be kind of a little down on it for some reason. Good running back going to a good team, and people are like poo-pooing all over it. I don't get it. I would try it for 2 seconds if I could. I don't think that would do it. I think starting running back, there's got to be that one in there. And in one quarterback league, a mid-first, probably like the 106-ish for me. But I do think stock way up on Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, Barkley's going to be good. We know he's good. He's in a good offense. He hasn't been in a good offense in a while, so I'm excited to see what he does.
I'd like to take a moment to shout out today's partner, Mint Mobile. You and I both know that you're probably paying more for wireless than you should be. I know I was. For as little as $15 a month, Mint Mobile offers you everything you need. Whether it's speed, coverage, data, access to 5G, or unlimited talk and text. Mint Mobile keeps prices low by operating off the nation's largest 5G network and operating exclusively online. And that means no more pushy sales reps or waiting in long lines. On top of that, switching is easy and customer support is easily accessible through the Mint Mobile app, all from the comfort of your own home. Since making the switch myself, I'm still enjoying all of my favorite YouTube videos, streaming services, and catching up on my favorite podcasts without any drop in performance quality. Start saving today at trymintmobile.com/Dynasty Rewind. The link will be on your screen in the YouTube description box as well as the pinned comment below. And for a limited time, try any 3-month plan for 50% off. This means you can try Mint Mobile Unlimited for 3 months for just $15 a month if you sign up today. Thank you so much for listening and choosing to support this brand. But with all that said, let's get right to the content you came for.
Let's go to your next stock up player.
All right, I got a stock up player, Mike, here, but I'm actually not that excited about him. It's a player whose stock is certainly going up with free agency.
How does that work?
But I'm telling you, hey, stock's up, but let's be careful. Let's be cautious. Maybe this is a sell window when the consensus view is, hey, stock up. And this guy is Josh Jacobs, now the running back for the Green Bay Packers. Coming off the board on DR ADP in the 7th round in the 4th pick, RB16 currently. Just coming off a career low 3.5 yards per attempt, Mike. And it's like, okay, well, the Raiders were bad. Well, Zamir White averaged 4.3 yards per attempt. What's going on with Jacobs? You know, he handled a huge volume in 2022. And former contributor for the Dynasty Rewind and friend of the show, Brandon Gabor, he did a deep dive into, pun intended, into what happens to those running backs after they handle such a huge workload. And 99% of the time, they decline their yards per attempt. They decline their carries the next year. Everything kind of goes down. You can't follow up those big seasons with another big season, just even durability-wise. Just does not happen usually. So Josh Jacobs, despite him being a younger running back, actually, I believe he's only 25, turning 26 this year, he's been in the league for the full 5 years of his rookie contract, and that has really put some wear and tear on him. He's handled a lot of carries in that time, and the efficiency has really gone down. In 2023, he had this lowest PFF grade of his career, and by far, Mike, 65 was his grade this year, and his second lowest in 2020 was a 76.3. That's a pretty big fall for his PFF grade. Terrible yards after contact per attempt, a stat I like to go and use for running backs, 2.35. And his career average is over 3 yards per attempt, yards after contact. And it was 2.35 this year. So a huge, huge fall there. And then, Mike, this is the one that really gets me with Josh Jacobs. 9 runs last year of 10-plus yards or more. To be fair and put some context in there, DeAndre Swift, who has essentially the same amount of carries within like 5, had 23. Josh Jacobs does not have the explosiveness that and he's never really been the most explosive player. Josh Jacobs has never really had a lot of long speed. He's been a strong running back with enough burst and good vision. And he's been really, really good throughout his 5 years. But I just think now, like I said earlier, I believe it was on maybe this podcast, maybe the last one. I get them confused sometimes when we record them all on the same night. But Josh Jacobs, his deal in Green Bay, they have an out after 1 year. So I'm not committed to Josh Jacobs there long term. I don't think the efficiency is really there for him as well. I think the offense is good. So I don't think he's going to be a terrible running back. I think he's going to be a top 24 running back with the potential to be a low end RB1, but I just don't think the efficiency is going to be there for him to really be that RB1 unless he just stays healthy the entire season. I kind of have him as that, he's kind of fallen down a tier for me. He's in that RB2 area now. So I'm not so excited to go be picking up Josh Jacobs after this move. I'd be looking to sell him for a late first. And re-roll the dice on maybe a Jonathan Brooks or whoever gets drafted to the Chargers or Cowboys or a wide receiver in this next draft.
I mean, I like the fit here. They still have A.J. Dillon on the roster as well.
They did re-sign him.
I love honestly, I love what the Packers are putting together out there.
It's a good NFL move. I just don't think it's as good for fantasy as a lot of people are going to think it is.
I like it. I love where your head's at here. Let's get to our last one. And stock up player for me, and that's Houston Texans running back Joe Mixon. Go at the 906. Dynasty Rewind ADP. He's running back 25. I think he's going to be better than running back 25 this year. Look, he left the team that didn't want him. For whatever reason, he's been nothing but productive for them. To a younger offense with tremendous upside. I think we could say bye-bye to Dameon Pierce at this point. Joe Mixon. He has 4 career 1,000-yard seasons. One of those last year when he ran for 1,034 yards and 9 touchdowns. Okay, and then that was when guys were really focusing on him because Joe Burrow was out. Even though Jake Browning came in and did some really good things for the team, I think Joe Mixon's going to be really, really good in Houston. Singletary and Pierce, by the way, last year, they combined for 1,314 yards and 6 touchdowns, 43 catches, 294 yards, and 0 touchdowns. There's no reason to think that Joe Mixon can't do that this year. We've seen him do it before. CJ Stroud looks like he could definitely, handle throwing 43 passes to Joe Mixon. If he would have done that, that would have put him at running back 11, right behind Jahmyr Gibbs and right in front of Alvin Kamara, who finished as running back 11. But of course, guys, math, that pushes him down one spot. So I think in this offense, there's tremendous upside and there's potential for a running back 1 season. It's all buy. How do you get him right now? You gotta buy him for Derek Carr in a 24 third. These are real trades. A super flex league. Mixon in a 4th for a 24 second. We're starting running back. That's right. And in 1 quarterback league, late first. Yeah, man, sign me up. I know you're not a Joe Mixon fan, but I feel like this is a move that could be a league winner right here. This is a move that I'm looking to make right now. Another guy that the fantasy community is soured on. Can't see the forest through the trees or whatever.
Oh, hey.
Did I say that one right?
I think it's pretty close.
There's still tread on the tires, Nate. That's all I'm saying about Joe Mixon.
I'm trying to look up his efficiency stats right now. How efficient has Joe Mixon been recently? Let's see. Well, we go to the efficiency stats, yards after contact per attempt, 2.51. But to be fair, his career average is 2.78. So not too far below his career average. It's runs of 10 yards or more. He had 27 last year. Year before that, he had 21. Year before that, 36. So
you said 27 last year?
Yep.
And 21 more than DeAndre Swift had.
More than DeAndre Swift had. It's true.
There you go.
It is true. 9 touchdowns last year, 4 yards per attempt. I would say certified, not washed yet.
Are you find this on PFF, right?
I do.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. PFF, everybody. We're not.
Also handled 60+ targets each of the last 3 seasons.
Yeah, so he can do it. He's a 3-down back. Don't forget, check out that free 1-week trial. Patreon.com/Dynasty Rewind. You know what? You don't know what to do with your roster? Payhip.com/Dynasty Rewind. Get yourself a roster review. Turn yourself from a pretender into a contender. Do it now. So until next time, for Nate, I'm Mike. Thank you for listening.